Ever stared at a spreadsheet and felt like you were lost in a sea of numbers? What if I told you that with a few clicks, you could transform that bland grid into a colorful, dynamic, and incredibly insightful map of your data? Hello and welcome. I'm Mark from Skill Sprints, where our mission is to narrow the digital skills gap. A while back, I was working on a massive sales report for our team, and it was just rows and rows of numbers. It was hard to spot trends or outliers, and let's be honest, it was pretty dull to look at. That's when I discovered conditional formatting. With just a few adjustments, that spreadsheet was not only more visually appealing, but suddenly patterns and key data points jumped out at me. It was a game changer, and I'm excited to show you how to do the same thing. I've provided this exact spreadsheet for you so you can follow along. The first way we're going to use conditional formatting is to highlight high sales. Here are the sales in column B. I'm going to highlight our data cells. Now that these cells are highlighted, let's use conditional formatting to highlight sales above a specific threshold. Let's say 1,000. With the cells highlighted, I'm going to go to my Home tab. I'm going to go to the Conditional Formatting dropdown, and I'm going to choose Highlight Cells or Rules. And here, there's a number of different criteria we can use to highlight the cells. In this case, we're highlighting a greater than, cells that are greater than the value of 1,000. But we also could have done less than, between, equal to, text that contains, a date occurring, and duplicate values. Let's select greater than by clicking. And now, basically, we're going to create a sentence in the dialog box that you see. Format only cells that contain a cell value greater than, in this case, 1,000. Then we can choose how we want to highlight them. There's a couple of different options here: light red, yellow with dark yellow text, green with dark green text, and that's actually the one we're going to use. So I'm going to click OK. It gives me a sample of how the cells that meet the criteria will look, and I'll click OK. If I deselect the cells by clicking elsewhere, you can see that any of the cells with a value of 1,000 or greater are now highlighted in green. And that's basically how conditional formatting works. Cells that meet a specific condition will have their formatting changed. Now, let's bring this up a notch, and let's use formulas for conditional formatting. So let's say we wanted to highlight any product that had above a 2% return rate. First, I'm going to select the cells I want to apply the formatting to. In this case, the name of the individual products: widget A, widget B, widget C, and so on. Then I'm going to choose my conditional formatting dropdown. I'm going to choose Highlight Cells Rules, and I'm going to choose More Rules. And once again, I'm going to make a sentence. In this case, we're going to use a formula to determine which cells to format. And now we're going to input the formula, equals, and our formula is $E2 divided by $B2 is greater than 0.02. Let me take a moment and explain this formula. What we're doing first is dividing the value of the cell E2 by B2. So we're dividing 5 by 950. If that's greater than 0.02, then this will return true and the cell will be highlighted. If it doesn't meet that criteria, this formula will return false. Now, by the way, the dollar signs allow us to stay within the same column, but the row numbers will advance as we go from line to line. So for the second row, the conditional formatting will use $E3 / $B3. Let's go ahead and apply it with OK. And you'll notice that widget E turns red, and that's because there's above a 2% return rate. Let's increase the return rate of widget A and see what happens. I'm going to make this 50, which will be above 2%. And notice now widget A turns red. So we've used a formula to apply conditional formatting. Now let's say we wanted a visual representation of the sales in the sales column. Let's select these sales. And we're going to use data bars and color scales. So I'm going to go to conditional formatting, go to data bars, and here are several different types of data bars we can use. We can use gradient fills or solid fills in several different colors. Let's go ahead and use a gradient fill of green. And there you can see superimposed in each cell is a data bar giving the relative value in each cell. So for example, if we were to increase widget E to 1500, all the other cells would adjust. And that's because Excel is using a comparison to highlight the data. Let's do the same thing with returns. We'll select the data. We're going to choose conditional formatting, data bars, and let's use a red gradient fill this time. And you can see that the cell with the most returns is filled all the way, and then the cells are filled a relative amount based on the number of returns indicated in each cell. Here's a real convenient one. Sometimes when you have a lot of data, you've got to find duplicates. You can do that with conditional formatting as well. Let's go to conditional formatting, highlight cell rules, and notice duplicate values is one of our options. And our sentence is formed for us. Format only unique or duplicate values. Duplicate values in the selected range can be formatted in the way that we choose. This time, instead of using one of the formats that exists, let's create a custom format. And we can choose to change the font, the border, and the fill. Let's italicize any duplicates, and let's put a border around them. We can change the fill color as well. Let's go with tan. Now when we click OK, and OK again, you can see that both of the north values, because they're duplicates, are formatted how we indicated. They're tan, the text is italicized, and we've got the border around each cell. Here's one last way of applying conditional formatting that I think is a lot of fun. I'm going to select our returns column, and we're going to use icons in our conditional formatting. So let's go ahead and select our conditional formatting, icon sets, and here we can use directional icons, shapes, or indicators as labels. Let's use these directional indicators. And here you can see the directional indicators are used to categorize the data into a top, middle, and low category, indicated by green, yellow, and red arrows. Now, once we've applied all of this formatting, we might want to get rid of it. So with some cells selected, again, the returns, let's go to conditional formatting and clear rules. And here we can clear rules from selected cells or the entire sheet. We can also go to manage rules, and we can see all the individual rules applied to the cells that are selected. We can also edit the rules from here. For example, if I wanted to change the icon set with that rule selected, I'm going to choose edit rule. And now I can get very, very specific as far as what I display under what condition. For example, instead of a green up arrow, let's say I wanted to display a green check mark. I've made that change. We click OK, OK again, and the change is reflected in our data. And that's a wrap on transforming your data with conditional formatting. I hope you're as excited as I was when I first discovered these tools. Remember, a well-organized and visually appealing spreadsheet is more than just pleasing to the eye. It's a powerful tool for analysis and decision-making. If you found this video helpful, please give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to Skill Sprints for more tips and tricks to close that digital skills gap.